in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thanks for listening to the Android Experience podcast. This is a show where we keep you posted on what's new in the world of Google and Android and share our experiences with the platform. This is episode 25 on Thursday, July 20th, 2017. I'm your host, Patrick Bergadamo, and I'm joined by my co-host, Bill Stebbins.
What's going on, Patrick?
Not much. Been pretty quiet in the Android side. It's starting to rev up a little bit. Figure over the next couple months, we ought to get a lot more news.
Yep, definitely. All the anticipation's kind of building right now, so that's kind of exciting.
Yeah, and then all the leaks, so that by the time it happens, you already know what you're expecting. That seems to be the common thing now, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
So I guess getting into the limited news that is out there, it's a slow news week when we start with Duo. But Duo basically has passed the 100 million install mark in the Play Store, which I guess is pretty good. I would say probably of the two, it's the least stupid of the apps, because I mean it seems to do a pretty good job, and I know a lot of people that use it for the video calling, but Allo should just die a slow death, which I kind of think it is.
I really hope not, because it's a great product, and I've got one friend and my wife that use it with me, and I'm just using it because I want to see how it develops. But once there's a desktop client, I think it'll be a lot more useful. It's kind of a pain to pick up my phone every time I get an Allo message to respond there.
Yeah, and I mean, the whole app, the way it rolled out, to me makes me think of, you've seen the movie Meet the Robinsons. Yep. The recurring joke there. I don't think this plan was very well thought out. I that's what I think of when I think of Allo. Because I mean, you just got people who built up years of contacts in originally Google Chat, and then Google Talk, and then Hangouts. And then you go, oh, no, you're going to limit you to one device, and you have to know their phone number. So if you want to keep talking to that friend through that app, you got to go ask them for their phone number. That's going to be their one device that they access with you. I'm just like, really? I mean, just like you said, it's nice to be able to pick up your tablet, look on your computer if you get a message, and answer it from whatever is convenient. And to me, the bells and whistles are nice about it, but it just wasn't rolled out with a lot of thought for people that have been loyal to the Google brand for years, to make it a seamless transition for them.
Yeah, I mean, I understand why they tied it to the carrier number, and that makes sense in some regards, but I don't know. I mean, it's still very immature, and I think it'll be more useful. I haven't really pushed anybody to get on it and use it, even though it's way better than Hangouts, just because it's, I know it's kind of there's some growing pains there still, and it's not really going to be useful till there's a desktop client, because probably 3/4 of the time that I'm responding, I'm sitting at a desk somewhere, and same with the people that I'm corresponding with. So it wouldn't make sense to transfer all that conversation to something that we couldn't actually do on a desktop or a laptop.
Yeah. I mean, and if you think about it, you'd want to encourage people. I mean, that's the whole selling point, that why a lot of people stick to, say, like the iOS world and with Mac, is the idea that you can answer and send it from all your devices. And used to, with at least Hangouts, even with its issues, it was easy to just pick up your tablet, your Chromebook, your laptop, your phone, even your smartwatch, and respond to a message.
Yep, I agree with you.
Now, this next one, it's a Google Keep update, which when I first read it, I was going, wait a minute, did it really not have this before? Because, I mean, this is like in the realms of copy paste, like when we can remember we made fun of, oh, it now has copy paste. Well, Google Keep now has undo and redo controls, which for a note-taking app seems like a no-brainer that should have been there probably from the beginning when you accidentally delete something.
You would think so, yeah.
But, I mean, I guess better late than never. So, I mean, I know a lot of people, I've tried to force myself to use it to some degree, just as a way across all my devices to keep notes, take pictures of things and such like that. But with this, maybe it'll be a little easier because I know I was frustrated and sometimes you do accidentally something. You're just like, I'm not retyping all this out.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, keeps cool, but yeah, it definitely could use some sprucing up.
Well, and to me, keep it's. I guess it's more like how you see Allo. I see its potential where it could really be the free version of Evernote. They could incorporate the ability like the scanner apps that Evernote has, things of that sort, so that it all connects with your drive, and it has great potential. But it's still, I think it has hiccups it has to overcome.
Very true.
So, talking about other kind of app minor updates, Google Maps. I know we had talked about this, I think, a year ago or so when they added the thing about businesses, so you could see what times for parking and things when things were busy and when they're not. Well, now they've added that time graph for traffic, so when you're in your directions, you can see traffic is usually heavy at this time. It's not as heavy at this one, so you can kind of plan your trip accordingly. I think it's a step in the right direction, but I still think it's a long way from Waze basically telling it when you need to be there and it tells you when to leave.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely still marvel at the capabilities that those apps have to kind of shape my traffic commute in the mornings, because maps will alert me, or in the past it would alert me if my commute was going to be longer than expected and offer suggested routes, but Waze is much more useful just because there's people, actually like real live people, that are driving and reporting stuff.
Yeah.
And so, one of the things that Waze has in it that Maps doesn't is, police officers. So when you're traveling somewhere, if there's a speed trap because somebody else is already telling you.
Yep. And I mean, and it does a great job too of warning you of, sometimes it may be too much warning you of there's a car stopped on the side of the road. Okay. But it is really good too about obstructions, like if pieces of tire in the road, major potholes and things like that, people report those, and it at least gives you a heads up that something you don't get in Maps.
Yeah, that's definitely important, especially if you drive a lowered car, because a piece of tire will wreak havoc on that. So knowing where to look, and at some point, I hope they also add a description of which lane.
Yeah,
that would be sometimes I'm looking for a pothole and I don't ever see it, but I guess it's in another lane.
Yeah, that, and like there's obstruction in the roadway. Well, maybe do like you do for the vehicle. Is it in the middle, the left, the right, to the side?
Yeah.
I will say this though. One of the biggest things I think Waze needs to improve on is make it easier to report stuff when you're driving. Obviously, you don't want to necessarily completely encourage people to use devices while you're driving, but if you can do it more voice oriented and things of that sort, it'd be easier to report stuff. Because there's times where I'm like, traffic, I can't put my hands down on the device. I'm sorry, and you miss a chance to maybe report something you otherwise would report.
Yeah, very true. And it seems like sometimes people report cars that are, on the side of the road, which is nice, but it like alerts you and it's like, oh, well, that wasn't really any hazard at all.
Yeah.
There needs to be some more granular controls for that.
It's like they need to tow your crappy vehicle, but it's so far to the right, it's not a problem. I mean, it'd be one thing if it was at a same time where there's a lot of traffic or something, so that you don't have an option to go off the road if something happened. But it especially if you're going on the interstate, it just gets boring after a while when you get vehicle reported on the side of the road ahead, and then sometimes it's like 3 in a row, and so it's like, okay, I didn't really care. They're, like you said, they're not something that's an issue, so why report it? So Google Home, well, and to me this was kind of a big one. Google Home will now stream your uploaded and purchased songs from Google Play Music, which, if I'm correct, before all you had was the radios and things like that in Google Play Music, correct?
Yep.
So I mean, this is a big step for people, because I mean, with the uploader, you get that even if you don't have a subscription. So just another way to kind of make your device more user friendly and ubiquitous in your house.
Yeah, I mean, I probably won't ever worry about this because I have Google Play Music, the subscription already.
Yeah.
But if you don't, for some reason, which if you use Google Play Music and YouTube, really, it's a no-brainer for me. I watch way more YouTube than I ever have in the past because I don't see any ads now.
Especially at night, because especially if you're listening to headphones or something, you don't want to hear that loud blaring commercial. And so pretty much the only commercials I see now are as if somebody builds it into their video.
Right.
But I mean, I think the more Google Home adds functionality, that's kind of stuff that the average person would use, that's a good thing. And it kind of helps them kind of take away one of the things Echo had that was kind of good was with the Amazon Prime music. It really pushed the music listening. This is them showing, hey, we're going to look at the media experience. Kind of makes me think this device was probably the pre-device of this was remember the Q?
Right.
I still laugh about Farina canceled his order, then found out it was going to be free. And then he bought one used. But yeah, I mean, it's good to see those apps going in with the web connection and stuff. That I think that'll be great. Speaking of Google Play Music, the new release radio, which was one of the radio stations that would automatically update every day with new release songs. It was originally an S8, S8 Plus exclusive. Now it's available on Google Play Music for other devices. So if you're ever in a need to see what's new out there for your genre of music, the new release radio is now available on your Pixel and other Android devices.
I can't say that I've ever really cared about that, but I'm not too hip, so
you're set in your ways, huh?
Yeah, get off my lawn.
Or I'll hunt you down with my drone.
Right.
Google Play Movies and TV now support HDR playback. To me, that's kind of a big deal, especially if you've been an adopter of 4K and things of that sort. To have your movies and TV that you play in HDR is good. I mean, I kind of miss the good old days though, where the Play Store, where they used to give you the free stuff every Christmas.
Yeah, but this is a big one for me. I'm in the market for a 4K projector now, and they've got some that are actually somewhat affordable. And the one I'm looking at supports HDR. And so I don't really have anything that would do 4K right now. I don't have the Xbox One S. Mm-hmm. And I don't think the original Xbox One does 4K stuff. I think you have to have so either.
Yes.
The other one. So
I'm pretty sure it's yes.
I would either have to have something like this, which I could do through a $60-something Chromecast, whatever. What's the new Chromecast called? Plus
the Ultra, I think.
Ultra, yeah. So I could do it through that pretty cheaply, and then wait until the One X comes out and upgrade to that. So I'm really interested in this part of it, and hopefully soon I'll have a new projector that I can kind of try out some of these 4K movies and see how the HDR works.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that the story that we actually have linked in our notes talks about the Ultra. For people who have Ultra, you finally have something that will be useful for you.
Cool.
So, the Android phone app, I'm sure you got your update. I know I saw mine. I was like, why are they updating the phone app? This was actually a pretty good update. Your phone app now shows your GPS location for 911 calls.
That is super helpful. That's something I thought it would have already done, honestly, yeah. But guess not.
Well, I mean, historically, that was one of the things. Sometimes your calls for 911 support was kind of iffy sometimes with the smartphones, depending on what dialer and things you're using for it. But now, apparently, it will automatically trigger it for emergency calls, even if you don't have your GPS on. So that's a big deal. And it makes it more compliant with the 911 requirements. So, and it's a good safety feature. So you can feel a little more safe knowing that if you're calling 911 from your Android phone, they'll know where to find you.
Very good. They probably already know, but they're just showing it now.
Yeah, now they're letting you know they know.
Yeah.
So kind of the last app update, For me, this was kind of interesting because I picked up the Nintendo Switch. The Switch Online app is now in the Play Store, and if you're in iOS, it's in the App Store. But at least as of the time when I put this in the notes, it wasn't working yet, which kind of makes sense because that's still the real rollout supposed to be more this fall for the online stuff. But to me, it's interesting because it's not quite the Xbox online experience, but the fact that they're going to take classic apps and rework them to be online games is kind of interesting. And the fact that you can use your phone in conjunction with this stuff will be nice.
Yeah, I never did really get into the Switch or any of the Nintendo stuff for that matter, just because I don't have much time to play.
Mm-hmm.
And
so you would have more time with a Switch because you could take it with you.
Yeah, but I'm not really anywhere where I ever am just sitting going, gosh, I wish I had a game to play.
True.
Yeah,
because you're about to say usually your time is occupied by someone else.
Right. Like if I'm somewhere, like I'm watching one of my kids play a sport or do some school activity, or, like tonight I was cutting grass, I couldn't have my hands free. If I could figure that out, I'd be a genius.
And rich.
Yeah.
I mean, and yeah, because I'm about to say, because kids do tend to get kind of upset when you go to their games and sit there and read stuff and play on your phone and stuff instead of watching them.
Yeah, I don't want to be that guy.
At least not yet, right?
Right. I mean, they can do that if they're at my stuff, but not the other way around.
Yeah. I mean, you figure you're paying all that money for them doing, you might as well enjoy some of it. So kind of getting into our top stories. First, I guess, get it out of the way. The Galaxy Note 8, it's now confirmed that August 23rd is going to be the announcement. And according to one of the execs, supposedly it's going to be announced on the 23rd and go on sale in September and most likely arrive late September, early October. I guess unless the first feature is it won't explode, does anyone really care?
I mean, that's kind of the test, right? That's what everybody's going to be looking for. And any little thing that, I got a static electricity shock from it, it's doomed. It's going to be under the microscope by everybody. Everybody's just waiting for something, and the jokes will be going, and it won't be funny.
The only thing I can say is be very afraid if they pull a Motorola and throw out a Kevlar back.
Or if it comes with a vest.
Asbestos lined back covers. Optional.
Right. That'd be funny.
I mean, which is kind of sad because, I mean, the Note was always the non-Nexus Pixel phone that everybody, I know Clay always, that was one of the few devices that could pull him from iOS. And I always like the Note. I mean, I still like my Note 3. There's still things, sometimes I'll pick it up, use it as a remote and things of that sort. The Note was a big deal, and then they really killed it with this with the 7. But I mean, I think they had stopped really innovating because, I mean, the edge displays, the curved edge stuff was like but I mean, it's just that you had a great device and you killed any brand loyalty by what they did.
Yeah. And then they came out with that fan edition. It's like, show your loyalty by holding this up to your face.
I'm sorry. FE is always going to be Fireproof Edition for me.
Yeah. Pretty much.
They're just going to have to own that. Some other news. Google has officially confirmed that the aptX Bluetooth streaming will not work on the 5X and 6P. But given how old those devices are you really that surprised?
If you care about aptX Bluetooth streaming, you're not using a 5X or a 6P.
This is true.
So, I mean, you're going to be on one of the newer, Pixel devices, because the 6P is almost 2 years old now.
Yes, almost 2.
I mean, not that that's ancient, but
in phones it is.
For something like that people might care about, if you care about that or know what that even is, your odds are you're not using one of those devices unless you just absolutely love your Nexus and that's the last Nexus and you're never giving it up. And that's not me. I'm happy on my Pixel.
The only people I know like that are the people who refuse to give it like their Nexus 1.
Yeah.
Because they're like, I'm not getting rid of it because it'll be a story to tell at some point.
Right.
I didn't put it in our notes, but apparently the S8 and S8 Plus are now there. I don't know if it's active yet. It was supposedly going to be active in the next couple of days when I saw the story. They're supposed to be now officially supported for Daydream View.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Although, do you really want to put a Samsung device that close up to your face?
You mean, do you think it'll blind you?
I'm thinking it might burn you.
Yeah.
But to me, the Daydream View, it's cool and kitschy, but until they come out with a standalone, I'm kind of
Yeah, I'm definitely on the standalone bandwagon for that. I mean, that's going to be the way to go.
Because I really don't want my device heating up. Because I mean, I don't know about the XL, but even the regular Pixel, if you play any appreciable amount of time with it in that device, it gets pretty hot.
Yep.
So, getting into Pixel news, the Pixel 2 rumors, leaks, and renders are abounding, and it seems like every other day we get something new out there. Although some of the things, the new stuff kind of just keeps confirming stuff that's out there. And so, if you're interested in any of these things, we do. If you go to our show notes, we have links to some of the breaking leaked images and stories about it. I'm gonna say it looks pretty. I think it looks better than the Pixel. Just the design aspects of it, but it's not like it's flashy.
Yep. And that's kind of what I was hoping for. I don't want, I think the S8, that style looks nice, but from a usability perspective, I think it's just a little more than I would want. The curved screen and all that stuff might make it a little harder to handle, and you're going to put a case on it anyway for the most part. So,
or at least a screen protector. And that, to me, everything I've heard, screen protectors on the S8 and S8 Plus are a nightmare.
Yeah.
So, I mean, give me my flat. I mean, the only time we've really seen Google go with the curve was Samsung with the Nexus S when they had the banana phone.
I think if I could get a Pixel XL just with smaller bezels, then I would be perfectly fine with that. I mean, really, if they go with the 2:1 aspect screen, I'm still not sure I like that. I complain about kind of that on the S8. It's a little tall and narrow for my taste, but I think I would be okay with it after I used it for a while, even though I'd complain and people would call me a hypocrite for bagging on the S8. And probably well deserved. I don't care.
Although if you think about it, the first one they got kind of made fun of for that was the iPhone with the 5, with the 4-inch. Oh, it's just an extra row taller. And then you had with the, what was it, the 6, if you first had with the Plus, where it was like, it's about the same width, a little bit narrower than the Note, but way taller. And so it's like unbalanced.
What was so annoying with that is when people would have these diagrams of the thumb over the screen and why the iPhone was superior because they thought about where your thumb could hit and you had to miss it with your Android phone and all this pretentious BS that went out the window when they started making bigger iPhones and people lost their stuff because they were so excited.
Yeah. Although I will give Apple at least one credit when they did it. They at least put the double tap on the home button to make it the top row drop.
Yeah.
For people who had thumb issues or tiny hand syndrome.
Yeah. Or couldn't hold the phone in such a way that they could use it.
Yeah. Although if they don't have a case, that's probably understandable because those things are the slipperiest device I've ever held.
Yeah. Like holding a greased pig.
Pretty much. I think the greased pig might have a little more traction.
Yeah.
But I mean, the camera sensors look interesting. I mean, in the sense that it looks like kind of becoming the industry standard stuff, which for a long time, that was kind of the complaint with some of the Nexus line was that the cameras were So, I mean, the sensors look interesting. The specs, kind of what we're kind of expecting with the Pixel line now, better specs. Not necessarily as kitschy as the Samsung stuff, but still way better than what we would have gotten back under the Nexus line of stuff. And I mean, to some degree, the processors and stuff aren't getting as much as Apple likes to tout their processors getting better every year, we're getting kind of what we did with desktops, where it's just kind of like, eh.
Yeah, give me a little better package as far as the hardware goes, and bump up to whatever the latest is, whatever we're on, Snapdragon 835 or
that's what it's supposed to have.
Yeah, and give me 3-4 gigs of RAM like I'm used to, and a nice screen, and I'll be fine. The software is the magic in the Google phones, really.
Or better yet, the update support.
Yeah, I mean, and the fact that I can get in a beta and be running the newest version of Android that hasn't even really been released yet for 4 or 5 months, that for me is something that really kind of makes these phones worth the premium that you pay for what you get.
Yeah. I mean, and let's be honest, the premium is still not that bad.
No, because you can resell them, you're out to maybe $300 after a year. Yeah, there's no problem there.
And I mean, now I have the Google Store financing thing set up too. So if anytime I buy it, I can pay it off when I want. But otherwise, it's basically just like my carrier. I get 24 months of interest-free payments.
There you go.
But I mean, yeah, I'm interested. Supposedly, we're going to get 4 gigs of RAM with the 835 chipset. Storage, supposedly 64 gigs is being mentioned, which would be interesting if that's the jump up as the bottom one, or if they're going to do a 3-tier approach. Because I mean, you figure they're going to at least still offer a 128 gig model.
I'm definitely going to go for the higher model if possible, because I thought 32 would be fine this year, and I find myself doing more video recording, and it's just not enough. And that's really the first year I've said that, but I occasionally have to go in and clear out the cache and stuff to make room, because I'm doing so much media creation with the camera.
Yeah. I mean, and for me, I like the idea. I went with the 128 because I was going with the Pixel. So I was like, I might as well go with the 128. Then right after that, Netflix came out with where you can download for offline view. So it was easy if I'm stuck somewhere, I have another device to watch stuff on. I mean, you can always find a use for storage at some point.
Yeah, I agree.
But it looks interesting. Hopefully we should be starting getting more and more news as we get closer. I'm assuming we'll probably get another October announcement release, because that seems to be their usual release cycle.
As usual, I will have a special meeting on my calendar at work so that I'm available when it goes on sale.
The special meeting.
The super important meeting.
I may have to do that myself this time, especially since I'm going to XL, because those things sell so freaking fast.
Yeah.
Well, I guess now we're getting into our picks from the panel. What you got for us?
I have something that is kind of simple, but I stumbled across not long ago. It's called Lawn Chair. And if you haven't seen or heard about this, it's an Android launcher that's based on the stock Google launcher from the Pixel. But the developer has added some cool features. So it has like icon pack support. You can resize the icons, just some real basic stuff, but it also has Google Now, or Google, whatever the feed off, Google Assistant, I guess. I don't know what it's called now, where you swipe off from the left and it pops up the Google feed. So that's built in still, because it's based on the Google launcher. I included a link in the show notes because it's not in the Play Store yet. It is on his GitHub site. And so I've included a link to the releases. You can go and download it and install it. It installs alongside whatever launcher you're already running, so there's really no risk to trying it, and see if you like it. So far, it's really nice, and it has all of the typical Pixel stuff with the notification dots and the long press on the icons to get the app shortcuts. And best of all, it's free, so there's really no reason not to try it.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Nice. So my pick, it's kind of a humorous pick in the sense that it's also an anti-pick regarding Android. But my pick is iPad Pro 10.5. And
Patrick.
And the reason for that is for what my use case of wanting to be able to go into a meeting and not have to carry a notepad everywhere I go and take notes. I tried, even with the Chromebook Plus, it works to some degree with the stylus pen, but it's kind of bulky for taking from meeting to meeting. Just grab it and grab and go. And I've said this for a while that to me, the Pixel C, if it would have had stylus support, would have probably been the ideal tablet for me. But it seems like Android and even Samsung now with the Tab, it seems like you only see a few occasional ones, Tab A with stylus or something of that sort. It seems like Android isn't interested in the whole providing stylus support to a tablet, and which to me is unfortunate because for my use case, it's really necessary. And I've got to say, Apple has done a remarkable job with the new Pros that came out this year. A lot less bezel, so that's a big deal because I know for us in our devices we tend to like the less bezel. The sides, there's very little bezel, but the Apple Pencil, to me, I still think it wasn't well thought of in the sense that there should have been some way for even the case that Apple sells for them to store your pencil on the go. But it works really well in the apps like Notability and stuff, where once you're connected paired to your device over Bluetooth, those apps completely reject your hand from writing on those apps. It has really good pressure sensitivity. It's, to me, if I could get the Apple Pencil and the functionality of that on a Pixel C, like a Pixel C2, I would switch back to that. But until then, I'm gonna have to stick with iOS for this tablet because I mean the nice ability to be able to just grab my tablet, go into a meeting, open up an app, take notes, and then email it to me or my secretary is just too good to pass up.
Definitely.
So Apple, good job. Android, if you're listening, get on it. So let's let everybody know where you can reach us.
I'm easy to find. Just go to billstebbins.com or follow me on Twitter at billstebbins. And I tweet sometimes. Sometimes I'm tweeting at people, not just random thoughts, but join in the conversation, and I'll definitely try and converse back.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at AXP_Patrick. I've tried to make more effort to get back on Twitter more, especially trying to tweet with DirecTV Now and tell them I want to join their beta for the DVR service. I sent them a kitschy with a GIF in Twitter where it's I said basically when it comes out, I volunteer as tribute with the thing from Hunger Games. They're like, we were like that. We'll be sending it out. And I'm thinking, hopefully you like it enough to send me an invite.
No kidding.
But it definitely interested. I may get with you at some point once I get some downtime later in the fall. I'm thinking it's about time I need to get back to updating and using my website.
Yeah, definitely. I've not done much with mine either. And I actually redirected my URL to, I think it goes to my Google Plus page, but I may redirect it to my Instagram. I don't know.
He's like, maybe I will, maybe I won't.
Maybe.
Maybe tomorrow
I will, and maybe the next day I'll change it back. I don't know.
It might suddenly direct to the page selling stickers for your new Pixel 2.
Could be. Yeah, gear up.
So in closing, you can find us by simply searching for AndroidXperience or Tekside in your podcast client of choice. You can subscribe to our show in Google Play Music or in iTunes if you so wish. Please take the time to leave us a review and comment. Alternatively, we have another link for our non-Google Play Music and iTunes listeners, which you can find right here in our show notes. We also have a Patreon page. This gives our dedicated and loyal listeners the opportunity to support the podcast as well as other Tekside Network podcasts for as little as $1 a month. If you'd like to support us, visit our support page at patreon.com/Tekside. Leave us a comment on Twitter at AXP Podcast or email the network at axp@tekside.net. Check out our website at tekside.net/AXP. And also be sure to check out our other great podcast blogs, photo galleries, and Tekside store at the tekside.net, including the simulcast. And we thank you all for listening, and goodbye and good night.
Good night.